What is going on? Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode, Off the Schneid, Thursday night episode. My apologies for last night. Something came up with my mother being in town. Had to go for a show with my aunt and my mom. It's how she goes, man. Mama Bear calls. You got to do what you got to do. So figured I would get live tonight, put out the episode, and talk through some things. Obviously, we're drafting. We'll definitely do a draft in a little bit here. I want to talk through a couple things, just some interesting things bubbling up in my cranium here. Randall, what's up, man? Welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks for coming back this week. Let's dig into this. I don't want to talk too much. I want to talk about the NFL draft coming up here. So not doing a mock draft by any means, but what I want to do, Vapor, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming in. We'll be drafting soon. I wanted to get into some mock draft stuff, not actually do a mock draft. It's just really interesting what's going on with this Marvin Harrison situation here. It's really, really interesting with no workouts happening. Let's just work through it. And I just think that no Titans, no one from Titans, the Titans staff, no GM, no coach, no O-line coach, no nothing from the Titans went to the Notre Dame Pro Day, which I thought was shocking, to be honest. I really, really thought that was the landing spot for Joe Alt, but there's almost no way that they're just not sending a soul from their entire staff when they're picking, 7th overall. They're not just going to, pick him off of a visit, right? I just don't think that that's the thing. So obviously Caleb's going first. There we go. I think that most likely Jaden Daniels goes second. Let's say Drake May goes third. Okay, cool. Let's say there's a trade up for JJ McCarthy. Most likely that's what's looking like. So then what do the Chargers do here? Is it Marvin Harrison? I don't know. I think it's entirely on the table that Jim Harbaugh just will not pick Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, call me crazy, but I think that that's entirely on the table, considering how much he hated one of his own players in Richard Sherman at Stanford, wouldn't draft Richard Sherman, who was one of his own players, right? That was part of there's a theory that that's part of the reason why Richard Sherman moved to the defensive side of the ball, right? It was because of Jim Harbaugh. I think it's entirely possible he just won't draft Marvin Harrison because he went to Ohio State. I think that's on the table. So where do the Chargers go? I think that they probably trade back in this case, but for who? Someone trades up for Marvin Harrison? Probably. Do they go with Joe Alt? Maybe. It's really interesting how this is looking right now with this NFL draft. So I'm just digging into this now, just starting to get my mock draft hat on and start thinking about what I'm going to do and where I think people are going to go. But it's very telling when no one's at the pro day. So I'm basically taking Joe Alt off the table for the Titans. I just don't think it's really possible. They're not going to send nobody, even if they were, interested, but they wanted to, they're bluffing. They want to hide their hand sort of thing. They're still going to send somebody to the pro day. But anyways, March Madness is a lot of badge users distracted. Yeah. So tonight we're doing a Jack Golke draft tonight. I'll tell you that kid is lighting it up first half. 27 points last time I checked. He had 21 points, 7 threes in the first half against Kentucky from Oaktown. That was pretty cool. I watched the first half before getting going here, but back to this. We'll see. It's really interesting. This draft I think is going to be crazy. I think it's going to be really, really crazy. I think there's a scenario where the Arizona Cardinals trade out of the top 10, then back into the top 10. I think there's a scenario where that could take place. Keep an eye out for the mock draft episode that will come out right around a week before the actual NFL draft. So we'll see, but it's an interesting one. UK board melting down right now. Is that like a chat board, or is that like the Kentucky team? Like I actually threw a bet on Kentucky when they were losing to Oakland, just because I just don't think that Oakland's that good at the end of the day. They're down by 5. We'll see how it plays out. Interesting. Gotta love March Madness. I used to be much more into it when I was more into ball. The chat room now. That's what I figured. It's probably an absolute circus, but guys that this is completely off topic, but guys that go to the players that go to the schools like Kentucky, they don't really give a shit what happens in March Madness and in college. They just want to get their points, get their stats, get their looks, boost their draft stock, and bounce to the NBA. But that's what I think. Either way, back to this. We'll see. Let's wrap this up. I don't want to talk too much about the draft here, but I wanted to touch on that because it's just really getting interesting. When I saw no one from the Titans at the Notre Dame pro day, I thought that was a little bit crazy, super surprising. So we'll dig into that more. And then we'll see what happens with this Marvin Harrison situation, because if he falls down to 5 where the Chargers pick, he might sit there for 6, or someone might trade back, trade into the top 5, trade with the Chargers for Marvin Harrison. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one. We'll see. We'll see how this works out. So we'll get out of that. Pop over to Underdog. One thing I wanted to touch on here, there's a few guys that I'm fading completely. One guy in particular, 123 teams total, 105 big board so far. Maybe we'll do a big S board tonight. Maybe we'll do a bit of a spicy $100 draft tonight. Christian Watson. No, I have a little bit of Christian Watson. 5 in the big board. I probably won't have too much. It kind of just fell that way, and I think I stacked it up, double tapped with Jordan Love on those ones. But it's Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin, I'm fading completely right now, and I'm probably the only one that I know of. A lot of people are high on Chris Godwin. A lot of people are into Chris Godwin right now. I don't know why. To be honest with you, he was falling off a little bit last year. They were trying to make a concerted effort to get him involved with the offense, and I know he's going to move back into the slot. I know that this is going to happen, but he's another year older. Mike Evans is still there. What's his name? Trey Palmer has kind of stepped up. Kate Otten is looking really good. So I'm just not a huge believer in Chris Godwin anymore as it sits right now. Maybe that chemistry isn't quite there with Baker Mayfield, obviously, than it was with Tom Brady, sort of thing. So I don't know. I'm avoiding Chris Godwin this year at ADP. I think it should be lower. I think Mike Evans too. I said it last week. I think Mike Evans is a little bit too high. Not that I'm fading him, because I'm definitely. Wow, I only have him. Okay, I need to. I am fading Mike Evans. Holy shit, that is something I didn't even know. I need to not probably complete fade Mike Evans, but now I'm not happy with the ADP, so I might end up completely fading Mike Evans. That's something we just realized right this second on this show. That's good to know. Jonathan Brooks, that's another guy, complete fade, not a single share. I just I don't think as a rookie coming off a torn ACL, I just don't think that I don't want to be the guy holding the bag on that, where the rankings for RB1 in this rookie class is way too close. If Jonathan Brooks was head and shoulders the best prospect in this draft, yeah, sure, I could take a chance on him with the torn ACL. That's fine. But you got Trey Benson, you got Jalen Wright, you got Braylon Allen, you got all these other guys that are right there as well. They're right in line. They could be RB1. Landing spot's going to make all the difference. If Jonathan Brooks goes to the Cowboys, c'est la vie. It is what it is, and who knows if he's still even going to get there in his rookie season. Maybe at the end of the season, like I said again last week, if he ends up kicking me in the teeth, he kicks me in the teeth. It is what it is. I'm willing to take that risk. Yeah, the Mike Evans thing has got me shook a little bit. That's crazy. I can't believe I have completely faded Mike Evans this draft season. And again, now that his ADP is up where it's at, I might be kind of fucked. And I don't think I'm going to draft him at all, because I don't like that ADP. If it was, high 30s, 40s, where I think it's where it started, when people were unsure about where Baker Mayfield was gonna land. I should have been scooping up some shares, and now here we are. I'm gonna need a sip. Beverage of choice, got a big old mason jar of Bavaria is the beverage from Holland. It's very, very tasty. I'm shook, man. Mike Evans, full fade. Okay. That's what we're doing. What else? Who else do I want to talk about? Those are the main ones. That I wanted to hit on. Godwin, Brooks, full fade. Kyron, I think I have some, a little bit, 6%, but I'm going to need that ADP to fall down into the second round. Mid-second round is where I want to be on Kyron. I'll still draft him. I'll still pick up some shares, but not if he's going in the first round. I'm just not going to be hitting him there. Let's see if this is going to work out. We're going to go into a biggest board here. Let's get a little bit spicy. Maybe not. There's 10 people waiting. Unless this fills relatively quickly, we'll just hop out and jump into a big board because I'm not making everybody wait. And this won't, we're going to jump out of this. Sorry, false alarm. Maybe next episode I'll do a biggest board because I'm definitely going to max enter this tournament. I love this structure. Zoom in here. I love this structure. Supposedly it's a shout out Pete Overzad who suggested this and made it happen. I didn't see the tweet, but I'm assuming that I'm sure it did happen. I heard it from some other people that Pete put out the tweet and Underdog obliged. And this will easily fill, so I'm not sure why it would have been an issue, and they should have had it launched earlier, in my opinion. But 4 of 12, 2 of 8, 2 of 8 for a 34-seat final, 20K up top. I like that structure a lot. And 3 max, I'll be maxing this because I like it. I like the structure a ton. But again, not tonight. Maybe next episode we'll do a biggest board. And I'll advertise it properly as such, call the video what it should be. So if you guys want to jump in a draft, we're going to do quick big board. What do we have? 63.5%. I'm in waiting for 3. 63.5% filled. I'm at 103, 104 with this one tonight. And I think I have 3 or 4 slows going right now. So I'll be maxing this as well. I like this structure a lot. Again, as I said last week, if I think I have an edge, then it's in these early drafts. So Crowman, that's Randall, eh? Yeah, good to see you. Maybe we'll snipe each other a little bit here and there, but shouldn't be too drastic. I like the 9 spot. I like that, I think. Actually, maybe I hate it. That was another guy, actually, who I might draft tonight, was A.J. Brown. I had a full fade on for a little while, and that was an issue. Up to 60. Perfect. 6, I think. 5 picks for A.J. Brown. I obviously caught that. Didn't want a full fade A.J. Brown, that's for sure. So up to 5 in 100. I need some more, I think. Only 5%. Definitely need a little more than that, but it's not a panic, that's for sure. We are in. All right, so who am I hoping to get? Who am I expecting to get? I might just pull up someone like Garrett Wilson, even though I have a fair amount of exposure to Garrett Wilson, and I like Garrett Wilson a lot. I don't know if I need it. If he's there, I'll probably just go with A.J. Brown because I need more exposure. I waited too long. I kind of got boxed out a little bit when he was an early second round pick, and you could easily get him at the turn. Now he's, like I said last week, I think he pulls up ahead of Puka. I think we'll see. Definitely ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs where he's at. He was behind Kyron at one point, for Christ's sake. That's madness to me. So he's definitely moved up, but I think he's still got some juice. This whole Bijan over Brees Hall thing has kind of got me shook as well. That's crazy to me. I have Brees Hall like relatively comfortably ahead of Bijan. I think I have similar shares in both, but they both been getting pushed up draft boards, so you could get them at different places earlier in the draft season. And I don't mind the click on either of them. It's just interesting to me that some people and a fair amount of people and people that I like and respect their opinion, they have Bijan ahead of Brees Hall. That's surprising to me. But this is going the way it should for the most part. I mean, flip flop the order however you like, but Justin Jefferson definitely needs to be falling. And I would be taking Amon-Ra here ahead of Justin Jefferson. And then, he can fall to 8. I think that's where he'll probably settle. Puka, nice. Maybe I get Amon-Ra. Maybe I get Justin Jefferson. I'll take one or the other. But it's like that for me. Let's zoom in here. Let's get a little better view. Looks like I'm getting Justin Jefferson. I'll take him at 9. I don't love the value at 5.8 ADP at ADP of 5. I don't love that. But I'll take him at 9. You got to trust the talent at some point. So I'll take him there. I'll be the Huckleberry to take Justin Jefferson. Putt Daddy, what's up, man? Any undervalued offenses that you might be targeting in these drafts? I was the original and ultimate Tennessee Titan truther. So I was drafting Tennessee Titans probably before anybody. I was touting them on Spike Week. So next time I'm in the chat for the Spike Week guys with Eric Bienfor and Rob Coakley, I'm going to remind them who was talking about the Tennessee Titans first, because it was this guy. And now they're flying up boards. They're looking really good. Obviously, it all boils down to whether or not Will Levis is the guy. And, can he support that offense? I think that Brian Callahan is that good of a coach. And I think Will Levis has all the tools in the world. So it's on the table. It's all on the table for him to succeed. The offensive line should be in a better spot. That's why I'm very, very surprised with this Joe Alt thing, because I assumed that they were going not only with a tackle, but Joe Alt specifically to play left tackle for this team. I'm definitely going Jonathan Taylor here. I'll take the value. I can't not draft running backs early, as I've been saying, but yeah, that's a team that I'm definitely all over is the Tennessee Titans specifically. And realistically, when I'm looking for those sorts of teams, I'm looking at the quarterback. Obviously, that's where it all revolves around. I think there's a ton of value with the Bears, in all honesty, with DJ Moore still in a good spot. His ADP is falling, which it should, obviously, with the addition of Keenan Allen. But you can get Keenan Allen, you can get DJ Moore, you can get Caleb Williams and Cole Kmet, and it all comes relatively, easily or inexpensively, right? It's easy to do. So that's one that I look at. The Jags, for me, are certainly a value. You can get Trevor Lawrence. And even last year, if you look at last year's drafts, Trevor Lawrence would fall 20 picks past ADP all the time. All the time. It was crazy. And it's similar right now. You might get him at 120, 125, 130, which is, to me a little bit crazy, especially because you can get Evan Ingram, Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, all at a relatively cheap value. And if they are going to, trade for a guy like Brandon Ayuk, which is, on the Twitter sphere, I suppose it's out there as a potential, or they draft a guy like Brian Thomas, that pushes Trevor Lawrence up even more. So that's a value, I think. I actually have the Detroit Lions as a value if you go Jahmyr Gibbs or Amon-Ra in the first round sort of thing. Bring it back with Sam Laporta. You can get Jameson Williams late. I think they draft a rookie wide receiver, so I don't mind that. As long as Jaden Daniels goes to the Washington Commanders, that's where I have him going, and I'm drafting as such. Hopefully I'm right, because I've done a lot of drafts where I'll go Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and then bring in Jaden Daniels. I've got a few of those exposures. So that it can be underrated with Cliff Kingsbury coming in. I think that's got some value to it. Who else? Again, it's a lot of question marks. It's a lot of question marks. That's what you have to take the risk. You have to take the risk somewhere, right? And it's always going to be with these types of offenses that have everything on the table. So I just clicked Deshaun Watson. He's there for me too. David Njoku, I think, is a value at tight end. Then you can bring in Jerry Jeudy. I don't really like Amari Cooper for some reason. I don't even particularly know why, but for some reason, I've never liked Amari Cooper as a player. I know he's a phenomenal route runner. I know he's actually a very good football player. And he was like a league winner last year in the playoffs, but for one reason or another, I've never liked Amari Cooper. But anyways, you can bring in Elijah Moore if you need to. So Deshaun Watson's on that list for me. Will Levis has just been skyrocketing. Obviously, he should be, but again, I was on that. I was the first one. I'm driving that hype train. I'm the conductor of that hype train for Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, as a Bengals fan, Brian Callahan going there. He's an offensive genius to me. But not only him, his dad is probably one of, if not the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. And he obviously left his old post to come and join his son, and he's the offensive line coach for the Tennessee Titans. So that's a super underrated kind of coaching get for me. And then everything that's come together for this team, I like the Tennessee Titans a lot. What else do we got? You can just get good cheap value. I should probably look at that's enough. I think I gotta focus on my picks for a second here. Who do we want? I would like to go running back, but can't do it because the two guys I would have taken there. I think I'm going to go with I'm going to get a little saucy and just take my first share of Mike Evans because that's got me. I got to take some. I'm a little shook that I have zero shares of Mike Evans. The ultimate Mike Evans support system over here that I once was. Now that he's popular and people like him again, realizing how good he is at football, it's not that unique to love Mike Evans, but yeah, there's tons of value in my opinion. And yeah, even before this big board opened, I was pounding the table for the Tennessee Titans before they got Ridley, before they got, it was because they got Ryan Callahan. And we'll see what they do. So again, like that's why I wanted to touch on that mock draft, go to PFF there and touch on what's going on or what could happen and no representation at the Notre Dame pro day. I just thought I was honestly just baffled by that. I was super shocked that happened. So what do we got here? Actually, I think I might just get right wild with this one. If he's there, yeah, I got to do it. I don't think I have any Keenan Allen. Let's do it. I'm going to check. I think I've faded Keenan Allen so far, which is not on purpose either. No, I didn't. Drafted him once in a little board. So there we go. One share of. I've now got one share of Keenan Allen in the big board and one share of Mike Evans. This is definitely unique to me. Randall, happy at the start. Let's take a look in a second. Fantasy Dog Pound, welcome. I was just watching your show, getting sniped left, right, and center. That was a tough room. It was an interesting room. It's a little more tight in this one. A lot of badges. Metzko Letts. He's been drafted with him quite a bit. I'm sure JP Berg. Crowman, let's check out your squad. Let's just go here. What are you at? Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane, Malik Neighbors, Sam Laporta. I like it. Building out the Detroit Lions stack. I think there's value there. I really do. In recovery now. In recovery now. Cheers, bro. Cheers. We'll see how this one goes for me. I'm trying to get that Jack Goldecke, whatever, Goldkey kind of draft for Oakland. Guys, lighten it up. If anyone knows the score, take a peek at the score of that Kentucky game. I threw a bet on Kentucky when they were losing. So hoping to gobble up some value on that one. But yeah, I like it. You're obviously building out the Lions. Can still bring in Jameson Williams if you like. I think the Lions definitely draft a wide receiver. Who that's going to be? I mean, to me, it's got to be a big body type. If they can get Adonai Mitchell, I think that would be a great fit, a phenomenal fit for the Lions. I hope it's not a guy like Keon Coleman, because I really don't like Keon Coleman, but for what they need, I could see that. Johnny Wilson, maybe some weird like that. A big body guy, go up and get it. That's what I think they need in that offense. You got Amon-Ra underneath, Sam Laporta. And whoever they draft is not going to come in and be much. He's not going to come in and be, even 800 yards. You'd be lucky if you get what Josh Reynolds was last year. You'd be lucky if you get that out of a rookie, to be honest. Why? Because there's tons of weapons on this team. They had Dave Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs running the ball. Jahmyr Gibbs catching the ball. Sam Laporta is going to have 1,000 yards. He's only going to go up. Jameson Williams, you have to figure, is only going to go up as well. Amon-Ra is one of the best in the game. So what's going to be left for a rookie? I just think for real life football, they're going to need another wide receiver to kind of get over the hump in the playoffs and beat some of these, elite teams. That's just the way I see it. When I think a guy like Adonai Mitchell would be very nice for that offense, but I don't know if they'd want to sink the draft capital into the wide receiver position. And to be honest, they really shouldn't, but we'll see. We'll see what they do. I'm falling behind at running back here, which I hate, as you all know, but I think I'm just going to keep getting unique here with guys that I don't have a lot of shares of, and I'm just going to keep building it out that way. So in this case, it's George Pickens. And then I've got tons of bringbacks at quarterback late. So I'm just giving myself options. I really don't like how far behind I'm getting at running back. If you've been watching the show last couple of weeks, I'm really trying to put a huge focus on running back. I just think that there's so much value at wide receiver late in these drafts. There's tons of bringbacks. But it is what it is, It is what it is. What are you going to do? I will take Kenny Walker if he's here. I will take Dalton Kincaid if he's here. Yeah, and Dalton Kincaid might be tops of my list. Definitely love the 2 tight end builds these days as well. That's why I like building out running backs too. If you've been watching the show, 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, 5 running backs, and then I just absolutely piss yellow to the end of the draft. Smash wide receiver, kill it with volume, kill it with quantity, and hope that I can kind of hit. So yeah, I like that. Let's go Dalton Kincaid here. Let's go Dalton Kincaid. Brian Thomas, Jaden Reed. I like that. Brian Thomas, I'm glad Pat knows in the draft he was in earlier, someone brought him up full round, 13 picks or something like that, 16 picks or something like that ahead of ADP. And I think he's going to keep rising. It wasn't that long ago that Brian Thomas was going right around here, right around the DeAndre Hopkins. They were kind of flip-flopping each other in ADP, right? And obviously those days are gone. He's a full, round ahead now. So I'm glad I got all the value I could and all the value I did, all the exposure that I did in Brian Thomas Jr. because I like him a ton. I think there's a strong potential. I mean, obviously, you got to take a look at pro day visits and if they're bringing him in. But I think there's a strong potential. My Cincinnati Bengals are taking a look at Brian Thomas. It makes an absolute ton of sense. Then it can bring on a trade of T. Higgins, or just let T. Higgins walk after the season's done. And I don't really give a shit if T. Higgins is upset about that. If you watch the show, I'm not the biggest T. Higgins believer. I think he's a quality wide receiver, and I think that he could fetch a Calvin Ridley type contract, and I think he'd be worth it. But he's certainly not worth wide receiver one money. He is not worth, even between 25 and 30 million a year, in my opinion, AAV. So if he's in that 23 million a year, similar to what Calvin Ridley got, okay, cool. But if anyone's seen Little Big League, I think the movie's called, where the kid's talking to this pitcher, and he's not motivated. He's pitching like shit, whatever. And he's kind of talking out loud to the assistant manager or whatever, like, hey, what's the going rate for a washed up starting pitcher who can't get guys out anymore? T. Higgins is going to want to get paid. How do you get paid in the NFL? You produce. If he goes out and does what he did last year, right, which was, what was it, 600 yards roughly, injured a bunch. If he does that again, you think he's going to get the money he's trying to go after, that 25 to 30 mil a year? You think he's going to get wide receiver one money? Fuck no is the answer to that. So you better get your shit together, start catching the football, play well. And regardless if you're on the Bengals or not, and to be honest, like I always say, the Bengals will call your bluff. They've done it time and time again. There's just countless amounts of proof to back that up. So we'll see what T. Higgins wants to do, but to me, he's going to play on the tag unless they find a suitor who's willing to overpay for him in a trade, which if they do, wonderful. That makes me super happy. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'm completely off base on this, but from being a Bengals fan for 20 plus years, they forced Carson Palmer into retirement. So T. Higgins, you ain't that good, man. You ain't that good. Sorry to say, you're not a wide receiver one. You don't have the bargaining power. How she goes, Bubs? Why did this zoom out on me here? Here we go. Okay. On deck, where do I want to go? Could go running back, but I could also push it. I do like a lot of 2 tight end builds. So I'm going to go with Evan Ingram here and just make it easy on myself. I've got tons of bring back potential possibilities for quarterback, including now Jacksonville as well. Bengals could use another serious weapon. Absolutely. I think Charlie Jones takes over for Tyler Boyd. A lot of people are all over the Andre Iosivas train. I can't necessarily fault you for that, but the reason he was playing so much last year is because T. Higgins, who we just went on about, was not on the field. So I don't know. I think that Charlie Jones is going to be the benefactor of the Tyler Boyd leaving town, and we'll see where Tyler Boyd goes. We'll see where he goes. Probably maybe Pittsburgh, goes home to Pittsburgh sort of thing. I don't know why there's not more of an appetite for him, to be honest, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I don't mind, and again, this brings in even more potential down the road in this draft. As long as he's still there. I think the only one in this draft is Randall. So maybe I don't talk about it too much yet. But I think I'll be going with Austin Eckler here. Yeah, I think I'm going to go on Austin Eckler as long as I don't get sniped right here. Anthony Lynn coming in to the Washington Commanders. He is the, head coach responsible for giving Austin Eckler a chance when he was an undrafted rookie. So, and he's going to get some run. He can obviously he's still got some juice. He's still a weight room freak. Obviously he's not going to have 18, 20 touchdowns again, and he's not drafted in the first round anymore. So of course he's not going to. That's fine. But he can catch a ton of balls. And for what I'm trying to do, that makes sense with what I'm trying to do. So again, it opens the door for who I think goes to the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels opens that door. There's Jahan Dotson later as well. You could go with one of the tight ends, but I'm kind of sitting back until the summer on that one. We'll see what happens with, Cole Turner, Zach Ertz, that sort of situation. This is another team that could probably draft a wide receiver, the Commanders, unless they think De'Ami Brown is that guy. But I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't be thinking that if it were me. Yeah, definitely. Jaylen Warren was on the table there, but yeah, not with George Pickens, to be honest. Unless I wanted to bring in like a full stack with, I guess you could just go those two, Jaylen Warren, George Pickens, and Russell Wilson if I wanted to go Russell Wilson. But I could still do that and just have the single stack with Pickens. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Nobody wants Bowers. Full round after ADP for Bowers. That's interesting. Usually he gets pushed up, so that is interesting. We'll see where he lands. I think he's on the table for the Bengals, but with bringing in Gesicki and then re-signing Tanner Hudson, who had a good year last year, I think it's much less likely. I think it's more likely that Brian Thomas now goes to the Bengals than Brock Bowers goes to the Bengals. That's how I feel about it. Right tackle is also, actually it's not anymore with Trent Brown coming in. I don't know. The Bengals do a lot of different things. They always draft for the future. They always draft a season ahead. Which is another reason why I think wide receiver is the play. They also were the team that drafted John Ross. So Xavier Worthy, if he's there, I just really think that someone's going to overdraft Xavier Worthy. Not that I think Xavier Worthy is a very good player. I think he's much better than John Ross ever was. Even at this stage in his career, he's better than John Ross ever was, honestly. So I think that that's honestly not a bad pick for my Bengals. If they picked Xavier Worthy in the first round, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't. It's not something that they have on the roster. They don't have 4.21 speed. So I would be okay with that, oddly enough. I'd rather Brian Thomas, don't get me wrong, but I think there's every possibility that Brian Thomas is gone before the Bengals pick. So maybe they overdraft Xavier Worthy. We'll see. Again, I'll have to take a look at the visits, take a look at the pro day visit or who's at the pro day, all that kind of stuff. Adonai Mitchell's also there too. So maybe they're there for Worthy. Maybe they're there for Mitchell. That's going to be the weird thing when you look at pro day attendees for Texas. Are they there for Mitchell or there for Worthy? Maybe they're there for both. Maybe they're there for the defensive lineman, but I guess it depends on who they send, right? So it's an interesting one. This is going to be a crazy draft, I think. I think it's going to be really wild. I think there's going to be a lot of trades, a lot of movement, I think. Do I trust Arthur Smith? I'll get to that in a second here after I make this pick or after the wraparound. Xavier Worthy, there he is, staring me in the face. Do I want to go that route? Maybe. Definitely need some rookies on this roster somewhere. No more tight ends for me. I'm done at tight end. I'm perfectly happy with just two. There's a guy that I want, and there he is. Zamir White is my guy. I was probably the highest on him last year, pre-draft. In the summer, I was a huge Zamir White believer and drafter. He's my favorite. If you watch the show, I said it on a stream. He was my favorite 20th round pick or 18th round pick. I can't remember when I had the stream. Sam Choudhury from FTN was on the show, and that was the guy that I drafted. So still love me some Zamir White. Definitely more now, obviously, but they might address the position in the draft, but I don't think they're going to draft anyone that would replace Zamir White. I think they definitely bring someone else in to compete and to maybe take some. It would be a pass catching type back. Maybe a guy who I've touted on this channel a few times, Blake Watson. I think would be a great fit. He could also be your kick returner, and that would make sense for what they need. But we'll see. We'll see. Do I want to go? I think it makes the most sense here to go ahead and grab my first quarterback. I think I'm grabbing a quarterback regardless because two are there. It's either Caleb or Trevor Lawrence. I could go either way here. I kind of wish he took one of these two to take the decision off the table, but you never know. Like I said, leading up in the pre-show there, Trevor Lawrence falls in these drafts all the time. So I'm going to take a risk that he falls. I'm perfectly fine with having a naked Evan Ingram, if you will, and just a single stack Chicago with Keenan Allen. So let's go Caleb. Let's see what happens. Do I trust Arthur Smith? I trust Arthur Smith as an offensive coordinator. I don't trust him to make the decisions, the decisions that count, the decisions that matter. He literally showed you that you can't, but he has shown you that you can trust him as an offensive coordinator, right? When he was with Tennessee, he was very good. He was a very good OC. Obviously, he's going to run the ball a lot. This is another reason why I like Najee Harris quite a bit this year, because who would you say, minus the juice and minus the ability to break a 75-yard touchdown at any point in the game, who does Najee Harris remind you of? Derrick Henry a little bit, right? But again, minus the juice. So I like Arthur Smith as an offensive coordinator. I like Arthur Smith in the with what Pittsburgh has as well. They're putting a lot of stock into the offensive line, which they should be. And that might be where they go in the first round of this year's draft. They won't go wide receiver in the first round. They just don't do that. They will probably go second, third, fourth round, maybe third, second, maybe is where they go for wide receiver, probably, especially in a deep class like this. But Russell Wilson is borderline the perfect quarterback for Arthur Smith type of an offense. Look at Ryan Tannehill when he was with the Titans. It's very, very similar, just a couple inches shorter, right? George Pickens, not really your AJ Brown, but in a pinch, if you squint really hard, maybe you can see him in there. And then Najee Harris with Derrick Henry. Jaylen Warren is better than any other backup that was with the Titans, right? So, yeah, I like Arthur Smith as an offensive coordinator. I don't think he's head coach material, and that's fine. There's lots of coordinators that just are not head coach material. So, look at Eric Bieniemy, and he's borderline an offensive coordinator. Look at what he just did with Washington. Is he an offensive coordinator right now? Nope. So will he be again? Probably not, unless Nagy moves on from the Chiefs and Andy Reid wants to bring Eric B back. Other than that, maybe position coach of some sort. So the NFL has kind of told us that Eric Bieniemy is not going to be a head coach, and there's lots of guys like that. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. Some guys are just better off as a coordinator. Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley is a former old school wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. Brandon Staley, the former Chargers head coach, right? He's probably a great coordinator again. He will be a great coordinator again. He was at one point. that's what he's going to go back to it when I don't even know if he has a job right now. But if or when he does, it's going to be a coordinator position. So there you go. What do we want to do here? I think I'm going to just hope that I'm okay at running back right now. I'm going to go Jaden Daniels, rookie running quarterback start, but I can bring in Baker Mayfield. I could bring in Russell Wilson. I was really hoping to push Trevor Lawrence and get him here, but that's not going to happen. It is what it is. And as long as I don't get sniped, I got a wide receiver in mind. Marshawn Lloyd, Braylon Allen are still there. Audric Estime. Let's talk about Audric Estime for a second. Supposedly, at his pro day, he ran a 4.71, 4.72 at the combine. Ran at the Notre Dame pro day and allegedly ran 4.58, which I'm not so sure it was. I'm not really sure why he would be, he would get extra juice. But I don't think it was you don't go from 4.72 to a 4.58, it's just, you don't cut a quarter of a second off your time in a month, especially at your home pro day. I just don't know about that. I will put him back on my it's okay to draft list if he, you get into some extreme value on Audric Estime. If he's 20th round running back and it's a pretty fragile build, he might, pop up back into my it's okay to draft list. Jahan Dotson for sure. So if I think that the Washington Commanders are drafting Jaden Daniels, Austin Eckler, pass catching back, obviously, but a high volume pass catching back, can definitely get 70 catches, as much as a good slot receiver. And then Jahan Dotson. So I like while we're building this out. Single stack Keenan Allen with Caleb Williams. Don't mind that. I'm going to have to bring in the third quarterback, obviously. Two tight ends will let me do that. I might be able to make it okay with only 8 wide receivers. We'll see how fragile I get at running back, but we'll let's play it by ear. You know what I mean? So what do we got? Crowman, did you purposefully not pick Jared Goff there? Or did you fall asleep at the wheel? You like Tua more, maybe? I'm curious about that one. Obviously, you're going to look to bring in Jonnu Smith. Don't worry, I won't snipe you. I have no interest in Jonnu Smith. I'm done at tight end, and that'd be a good move. Obviously, Devon Achane. Devon Achane, Jonnu Smith at the end of the draft. It's good. It's good. Nothing wrong with that. It's good. It's good. Cole Kmet, did he just fall a crazy amount? He did. Wow. That's someone I would have liked to fall into my lap with this. I probably would have taken him just for all the value and the stack with Caleb, even though I don't need or want a tight end. I probably still would have scooped up that value. That's for sure. Keon Coleman, just can't get on board with him, to be honest. I'm not a fan. Marvin Mims, I love. Definitely trying to boost up my exposure there. Ty Chandler, still viable. I'm not so sure about. I think he's still got some ways to fall, if I'm being honest. Who else is on the board at running back? Yeah, I think he's still got some room to fall for sure before I put him back on the list of, backup running backs that I want to try to scoop up. I don't think I have enough Kendre Miller. I definitely have some exposure. Should probably get a little bit more. I still like Kamara. I think Kamara is completely viable. Justin Fields certainly still has a ways to go. I think he's got to fall to the 180 range before I, draft him again, before I take a chance on him again. I definitely want to go running back here. So it's between Braylon Allen and Kendre Miller. I've got tons of exposure to Braylon Allen. I still like him, even though he didn't run a 40. I wanted to see a 40, but I'm going to go Kendre Miller here. Decent draft capital last year, really good prospect. And unfortunately, he was just hurt. He was just hurt all year last year. I don't think he was ever healthy, realistically. So I think if he gets healthy this offseason, puts in some work, gets used to being a pro, even with Kamara there, when Mark Ingram was with the Saints, completely different team, completely different offense. Sean Payton was there. It's a completely different team. But, Mark Ingram was a 1,000-yard rusher with Alvin Kamara on the roster. So I think there's enough there in standalone value and touchdown upside that he's viable as a, backup plus sort of a thing. So I'd like to take more shares and get a little more exposure to Kendre Miller for sure. This guy's probably going with Baker Mayfield. Oh, wow. Goes with Justin Fields, hey? Interesting. That means I'll take Baker Mayfield. Finish out my quarterback room. Pair him up with Mike Evans. Makes tons of sense. Let's make it easy on ourselves. Don't overthink it. Done at tight end, done at quarterback. So now I can just hammer running back, wide receiver, finish out my two rooms. I don't know if this is a Jack Golke draft, but it's pretty close. It's pretty good. 10 threes is up to. And Kentucky lost to Oakland. Crazy. That is crazy. What was I saying about Kentucky and Kentucky players? They just really don't care. It doesn't matter. Win some games, put your stats up. I don't even know if if I'm a Kentucky fan and like supporter, I don't think I want John Calipari there. Are you happy to win get in the tournament every year? Is that you happy to be the number one seed sometimes and then lose in the second round of the tournament? I mean, I don't know. That's completely off topic, but it's interesting with teams like Kentucky and Kentucky especially because they get bounced all the time. Third seed, second seed, 1 seed, 4 seed. They just get bounced all the time. First round, second round, whatever. They're the easiest team to pick an upset against is the Kentucky Wildcats, in my opinion. But anyways, that's off topic. Roman Wilson seems like he's been falling a little bit for some crazy reason. I have a lot of exposure to Roman Wilson. I like him a lot. I'll definitely pick up any value I can get on Roman Wilson personally. I can't even get in their chat room right now. Yeah, they honestly, I'd be if I was a big supporter, especially if I was a financial supporter, right? I'd be fucking pissed too. I would be calling for John Calipari's head. I'd say, get him out of here. What good is he? What is he? Yeah, he brings us all his talent. That's awesome. Oh, we can say we saw so-and-so, Jamal Murray. We can say we saw so-and-so player in college for their 1 year here in Kentucky. Wonderful. Who gives a shit, man? Don't you want to win something? Like, I don't know. That's just the way I see it. I would be pissed too. If I was a Kentucky Wildcats fan, Kentucky Wildcat basketball fan, I'd be pissed too. I would be, what's the point, honestly, but whatever. Again, I digress. Don't need to talk about college basketball. Mind you, 'tis the season, but let's get back into this. So definitely have a wide receiver in mind. Not a lot of rookies on this team. as in zero besides my quarterbacks. So Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, no other rookie exposure yet. I'll get there for sure. I definitely will make it a priority now because I like to have a certain amount or at least some rookies on every single team. Oh, Jonnu Smith goes a little bit ahead of ADP. I'm sure Dante was hoping to get him. Anything going to happen with Khalil Herbert? Some people are thinking that he's going to get traded. I don't see it. I think he plays for this team and he kind of rots on the bench a little bit, to be honest with you. Unless there's a big injury to DeAndre Swift, which is always on the table with DeAndre Swift. He's been relatively fragile, we'll say, throughout his career. So it's on the table for Khalil Herbert to get some playing time. I think I had some shares. I took him a few times before DeAndre Swift came in. But now I don't think it's necessary at this time. If I have to adjust, if there's an injury throughout the summer in in Best Ball Mania and after the draft, then I'll adjust. But as it sits right now, I guess he's right there with Elijah Mitchell, who's another guy I have 0% exposure to. I'm going with Ricky Pearsall here. As I've said before on this channel, if Daniel Jeremiah thinks he's good enough to walk into an NFL team this year and start as a rookie, then I have to, get on board with that and believe him. So there you go. I think Khalil Herbert's just going to be stuck in a timeshare with DeAndre Swift and Roschon Johnson. To be honest, I've taken some shares of DeAndre Swift, but I should probably just avoid this backfield completely, especially considering DeAndre Swift is, theoretically the most fragile option in this backfield. So I probably should avoid him more than I am, which is not crazy, but it's still, I am drafting him a little bit. I don't think he gets traded though. There's not he might get cut. That's what I would hope for. I don't think he's getting traded. I think that's possible he gets cut and then he could go somewhere. But that's that's a tall task to ask, a just cut free agent to walk into another team, earn the trust of the roster, the coach, and get playing time. It doesn't happen a lot, where they're going to be a major contributor or any kind of, major contributor in an offense. It just doesn't happen a lot. So I would take him. I'm okay with picking up a share of Khalil Herbert, but, wouldn't be here at my 84. If he's there right here at 201, yeah. I would take him in the high, 90s in the 17th round. Think about in the Best Ball Mania, he probably gets drafted in 17th, 18th round sort of thing. Wow, Israel Abanikanda goes way too high. Maybe it was an auto pick. I don't know. But this is another draft. I've said it a few times that I just feel like I have to draft Ray Davis here. It's kind of weird. He falls into my lap way too much. I'm going to have way too much exposure to Ray Davis, I feel like. But I like him as a prospect. Speaking of Kentucky Wildcats, I like him as a prospect. I like him as a player. I've heard him do some interviews. I like the way he talks. Seems like a good kid. Ran fast enough. He's very large, very good feet. So I really like him, and I'm going to just backdoor myself into 40% exposure. I feel like he's the last kind of rookie running back that I'll take realistically. I'm not on board with Will Shipley, to be honest. Who else do we got for rookies? Dylan Laube, I'm not on board with. Frank Gore, I'm not. Isaiah Davis, I do have a little bit of. I do like Isaiah Davis. Kamani Vidal, I have a little bit of as well. I think he could be, a Khalil Herbert type without winning the return job. Like I've talked about Khalil Herbert as a rookie winning the return job, compared him to Blake Watson at Memphis, who I really like. So I could see Kamani Vidal being that type without being the return man, because I don't think he would be, your returner. But he can be your third running back, and then we'll see kind of what happens if there's an injury or anything like that. I do like Cody Schrader a lot, but there just has not been any juice, any buzz, around his name. And I have a fair amount of exposures. I haven't drafted him in a long time, so I'm probably down to like 5% or something like that, which is perfectly fine. That's where I'd want to be on a guy like Cody Schrader, because I was drafting him early, rushing leader, rushing champ, whatever you want to call it in the SEC. That's not easy to do. Very productive. And he's a good kid, good story. I like him, but yeah, we'll see where he kind of lands as far as, again, I want to hear some more buzz around his name. But we'll see. He's probably going to end up being like a 6th round selection. Ainias Smith, I don't like at all. Any Ainias Smith exposure. I don't like Ainias Smith whatsoever. Watching him play, I just don't see much juice there, if I'm being honest with you, for his size. Like when you're that small, you gotta be Tank Dell like. I was a big time believer in Tank Dell. Probably the biggest. I was a huge believer and drafter in Tank Dell last year. That very much worked out for me, especially with where he went. If I'm looking for a guy like Tank Dell, my guy that's like Tank Dell this year, who's a straight comp for me to Tank Dell, and shout out to the OG fantasy something or other, Theo, who's player profiler, which is player profilers, take it for what it's worth, or you may have your own opinions. I do as well, but I like Theo a lot, and he compared it, and this is my comparison too. As soon as I make this draft pick, give me 2 seconds here. I'm gonna go with, I got Jacksonville a little bit. I could still go Tank. I'm going to go Tank Bigsby and just wrap up my running back room. I think I might need more. Yeah, CJ Stroud, man. I was all over CJ Stroud. Theo Greminger, he's sharp. Yeah, I like Theo. He's like the only guy from Player Profiler, to be honest, that I really agree with a lot of his takes. Personally, I think the Pod Father is a joke. Personally, I hate his takes. I hate his style. I hate how he talks. I hate a lot of things, and I just don't like how he kind of carries himself and how he interacts, and I don't like it. And he's like the owns Player Profiler, I believe. But Theo, I like Theo a lot. He's good stuff. But anyways, back to what I was getting at. And I'll wrap a bow around it after this next selection here. But he compared my Tank Dell comparison this year, and there's a lot of similarities if he goes to this team. And that's the Arizona Cardinals, and the player is Jacob Cowing. That's who I see a lot of Tank Dell is Jacob Cowing. They're almost the exact same size. Cowing was a little bit quicker in the 40. That very similar style in how they play. I like Jacob Cowing a fair amount. I have a fair amount of shares of him, and I'll keep chipping away at him. I'll keep him at around 10 to 15% ish. Fantastic last round wide receiver. And that's one of the guys that, I've been talking about this 2-5, 11-2 builds, 2 quarterbacks, 5 quality, solid running backs, 2 stud tight ends, and hammer wide receiver. And I can bring in guys like Jacob Cowing, who, as long as he gets 3rd round draft capital, I'm more than happy with that. Definitely going to go with, I could go Trey Palmer here, especially if I think that I haven't drafted Trey Palmer in a little while. I have a fair amount of exposure, but I haven't drafted him in a little while. And especially if I think Chris Godwin can struggle, let's do it. Pair him up, double stack Baker Mayfield, double stack Jaden Daniels, single stack Caleb Williams with some rookie. Well, I need some more wide receiver rookies just in case the Bears do draft a wide receiver. But anyways, Jacob Cowing, yeah. And if he goes to Arizona, it's very much like Tank Dell. He was Houston. he went to Houston University, Houston College, whatever, Houston University. And then he gets drafted, local kid, gets drafted by the Houston Texans, 3rd round, draft capital, falls into a perfect situation. If I'm looking at, and I like Greg Dortch, don't get me wrong, I like Greg Dortch. I've been drafting Greg Dortch. But if Jacob Cowing goes to the Arizona Cardinals and he's their slot receiver, I could see a lot of Tank Dell happening there. So we'll see. That's a lot of ifs and buts in that sentence. But if he does go to the Arizona Cardinals, I'll be bumping Jacob Cowing up my board. Trust me, I won't be the only one, but I might be the first one. So we'll see. We'll see. But a little rant about player profiler. Those guys sometimes. But again, I do like Theo. He's the best of the bunch, in my opinion. Bradley Stalder does some stuff with them too. Bradley's a friend of the show. He's been on the show, so I can't badmouth Bradley. That's for sure. Brad's good stuff. I like Bradley Stalder. He does a few things for a few different places, but he is on Player Profiler as well. Yeah, the Podfather is all about Kenny Pickett, probably. And the thing I don't like about him is that he thinks you're insane if you disagree with him, and you're stupid and you're crazy, and he won't even let you speak. So I'll watch the show if he has a good guest that I like or want to hear their opinion, and then he just cuts them off nonstop, doesn't let them talk, doesn't let them give their opinion, just tells them they're wrong and they're idiots and they can't see what's right in front of them, whatever. It's just I just can't do it. I can't do it. So I don't watch the show if the Podfather's on it. But they do have some talented guys on that team. So I can't badmouth the entire Player Profiler team here. That's for sure. But I'm not a huge fan of the Podfather. I'll say it. I'll say it. I'm not trying to be part of the club. So yeah, a little rant there, but I think I'd like to bring in one more. Running back here. I think I'm a little fragile. Only two more draft slots. Can I get away with 8 wide receivers? Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, Ricky Pearsall, Trey Palmer. I don't think I can. I think I got to go 2 more wide receivers and cut it off at 9. I think that's what I got to do. Jonathan Taylor should be my lineup every week, realistically. And then I just need one of these guys to pop in. Yeah. I got to go 2 wide receivers. It's just what it is. And this might be a good Jacob Cowing build. So maybe I'll go that route. Or unless he's already gone, Greg Dortch is on the table, who is gone. That's fair. He's getting pushed up. Tyler Boyd. I'd like for him to get drafted, I'd like for him to get signed somewhere. It's kind of, I got to go with rookies here. I just have to go with rookies, I feel like. So I'm going to go with Jacob Cowing because I was talking about him. I like him. He's a rookie. Makes tons of sense. Guy like Parker Washington is perfectly viable too. I have some shares. I like Parker Washington. Taj Washington, I have some shares. I have about 4 or 5% right now, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Maybe he's viable right now. Hunter Renfrow, I'd like to see get signed somewhere and see where he goes, what kind of opportunity he's going to have. That's about it. There's not much. You can't scroll too much further, realistically. Corey Davis is supposedly out of retirement. If you're drafting Corey Davis, then Godspeed. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, we'll see. There's tons of vets, tons of quality vets. We're wrapping up this draft. We're going 3-6-9-2 is going to be our structure. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Baker Mayfield, Jonathan Taylor, Austin Eckler, Zamir White, Kendre Miller, Ray Davis, Tank Bigsby, Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, Ricky Pearsall, Trey Palmer, Jacob Cowing, Dalton Kincaid, Evan Ingram, and one Taj Washington at wide receiver, as long as he doesn't get picked right here by Clutch Cal for no good reason whatsoever, unless he's watching the show and wants to snipe me. Very similar. Look at that. We're the same avatar, both red badge, both got the helmet, the Battle Royale helmet. He's blue, I'm green. That's interesting. Side by side. There we go. Taj Washington, USC USC wide receiver. A note that I had for Taj Washington in my after watching tape on all these players for the most part, take notes, do some quick notes on them. Something I had written down for Taj Washington was, why not? Why not? Why can't he be successful? Why not? He's a bit of a small slot, kind of guy, limited route tree for the most part, but he's got the speed. He's a similar size to a guy like Jacob Cowing, a guy like Tank Dell, 5'8", something around there, 100 and whatever, 70 pounds, kind of a guy, can run fast. Didn't get invited to the combine. So actually, what did he run in his 40? Let's take a quick peek at that because they just had the USC Pro Day. Let's see what Taj Washington ran in his 40. Because that might be an interesting stat to know. 4.43. I don't know if that's official. USC Pro Day. That would be interesting. If he ran a high 4.3s, low 4.4s, I'm perfectly happy with that. Bear with me. Bear with me here. Marshawn Lloyd didn't run the 40 because he ran it at the combine, so that makes tons of sense. Taj Washington, 4.52. 4.52. That's, I think, right there with what Tank Dell ran, but he's 5'10". Okay, 5'9" and 7/8, basically 5'10". That's bigger than I thought. 174 pounds. 4.52. That's fast enough. Huh. Okay. I'm still on board with Taj Washington. Yeah, I'm still on board with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But let's get out of here. Let's wrap it up for the night, fellas. Thanks for coming out. Randall, Putt Daddy, Vape, Pat from Dog Pound. Appreciate you guys coming out. Appreciate the chatter. Appreciate the chat. It's getting bigger. The channel's getting bigger. We're growing. I appreciate it. Hit that like button for me. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Helps me out. Notification bell, because I go live a little bit more sporadically, typically every Wednesday, unless something oddball comes up, but every Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, sometimes on a Tuesday, Thursday, maybe a weekend, Sunday fun day type of thing. So hit that notification bell. Lets you know when I'm going live. We'll be doing some landing spots. I'll do an episode or two where I'm not drafting, but I will have it listed so you know that you're not coming to draft, but there should be hopefully some good information. I think some good information in there. We'll be talking about the top landing spots for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, that sort of a thing. Talking about some rookies, talking about where I think, what I think some team needs are, stuff like that. Getting prepared for the draft. So look out for those episodes. The mock draft will be out, when about a week before the draft. I always look forward to that one. That's a fun one. That'll be live streamed as well. So again, hit that notification bell. But like we always say on Off the Schneid, if you're afraid to be wrong, you'll never be right. Hopefully tonight we were right And we'll see you next time.